everybody, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the PHNX Suns pod. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review because we appreciate it a lot. I'm Lindsay Smith, and I'm with Espo and Gerald Bourget today. It's weird that you guys are like out of order. Espo, you're usually on the end.
I'm very uncomfortable with how my dancing looks this close up, too. At a distance, it's not bad. When you're this close up, it's just aggressive. So
tough, yeah.
For our podcast listeners, they get to avoid that, luckily.
Yeah, lucky you guys. Well, we've got a lot of stuff in store for you guys today, including some special guests who will be joining us here shortly. But to start things off, I think we should maybe take a look into Suns practices as of late. I know they took Monday and Tuesday off this week, but they practiced yesterday and today ahead of the first round of the playoffs. One of the biggest things, Gerald, is everyone's been asking about the injuries. Do you have any updates on us from the guys?
Our official update is that there is no official update.
Unofficially, though?
Unofficially, though, we have seen Bismack Biyombo on the practice court the last 2 days, getting shots up, getting some light drills in. That's just a product of when we're allowed into the gym, so it's not they're limiting him or anything. He has had that sleeve on his knee that he banged up in the second to last game, but it does seem like he'll be fine and good to go for game one. Cam Payne, we haven't seen on the practice court. Apparently, he has not practiced fully with the team yet. We've seen him in the back in the weight room getting a little bit of work in, but that's pretty much it. So no official update. We'll wait and see about Cam Payne, but it looks like he has not yet practiced.
I'm going to put him on the injury report with soreness. That's what I'm going to go with. So.
It's traumatic, but just like was an instant trigger.
Yeah.
Terrible. Well, hopefully Cam Payne does get some time to get some practice in before the first round tips off on Sunday afternoon, but we'll definitely keep you guys updated on anything further that we hear from the team around injuries. But it's time to welcome in our first guest of the show, Shane Young, an NBA columnist and analyst for Forbes Sports. He covers the NBA at large and also knows quite a bit about the Suns and the Clippers. Shane, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure. I'm great today. Weather's finally turning around right before I come out to Phoenix, where it's 150 degrees probably. So.
It's only 72 here today. Like
okay, that's good.
We're keeping it nice until you get here. Then we're going to make it worse.
Exactly. Well, I mean, hopefully we will be able to see you well into the month of June. And sorry, you're just going to have to deal with the weather because selfishly we would prefer to still be playing basketball at that point in time. But let's start, of course, with Phoenix and the Clippers. You know both of these teams very well. What advantages do the Suns have over the Clippers?
I think, when people talk about the Clippers' depth and they talk about how that is a major advantage, I think that might be close. I think that's an exaggeration. I think that's going to be a wash in this series because I think Monty, even though, you could fans have questioned his decision-making, as you all have talked about in previous shows, like I think he'll trim the rotation down to where you're not susceptible to the Clippers having too much firepower in that second unit where you can't overcome it. So I think the fact that you're going to trim the rotation and you're just going to have those core four or the staggering, like the fact that you can stagger two of those guys, that's not an advantage. That's not something that the Clippers have in their cap in this series. Obviously with PG out for the foreseeable future, we don't know anything about that yet. So I think that is in and of itself a powerful weapon for Monty to use because I think you're going to need like the CP lineups. You're going to need the KD bench-led lineups to kind of counteract the Norm Powell spurts because Norm Powell's been awesome. So in terms of just Phoenix and their advantages, firepower obviously, and I think having more discipline with the ball. They're not going to turn the ball over as much as often as the Clippers. I feel like they play a safer style, safer game. So I think that lends in their favor.
You mentioned the PG injury. When you look at that, obviously the assumption is Kawhi's going to guard KD primarily. Who the heck do they throw at Book to try to slow him down? I don't think you're going to stop him, but how do you try to slow him down with this Clippers lineup?
You really don't. I said on the podcast the other day. I think Book might have a series where he's not going to. I don't think he's going to push the issue. I think he's going to let things come to him. In the past, obviously not having the luxury of KD on the floor with you, he's had to do all the scoring. He's had to be that primary initiator, especially in lineups where CP's off. I think now Book just going to be hanging on the weak side for more possessions per game. And I think he's going to have the most efficient series he's had just because of that. Whether it's attacking closeouts, whether it is working off the second side when KD attracts two to the ball, which I think he will on a lot of possessions. So I think the answer to how do you kind of guard Book is you don't have many good options. I think honestly, I think I would put Kawhi on, or I think I would put Batum on Durant to start. That's what I would do personally, just to kind of not let just try to give Kawhi more energy for the offensive end since he's their really only guy they have, their only star they have on that end. So you're looking at Eric Gordon, who is older, but he has tons and tons of reps, tons and tons of experience guarding these high level guys. He hasn't been great on defense since he came to the Clippers, but he's big, he's physical. He's not going to let you bump him around. So I mean, Book would have to beat him with the speed. So that's something I would look to. I just don't think, and obviously in bench lineups, Norm Powell has been awful defensively for the most part. I mean, whether it's getting blown by, fouling too much, not being in the right spots. So for me, like I think Book, to your point, is not going to have a good answer on the other side. I mean, he's going to be efficient regardless of who you put on him.
That's one of my biggest questions, Shane, about this series is looking at the Clippers. Obviously, we know Kawhi can lock in defensively when he needs to, but there are a lot of potential pigeons out there on LA's side of things.
Yeah.
And when you've got a top-heavy top four of Book, KD, CP3, and DA, it's hard to account for all of that. So you tweeted about you feel like the Suns are going to have a field day with double drag in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through your reasoning on that, why you feel like that. Because I've, on the show in the past, I've walked through some examples of double drag, how it's gotten Book open shots on the backside, how they've been able to find KD on the backside or DA on the roll. It just feels like that pick your poison is going to be really tough for LA's defenders to contend with.
You're right. And I think, you would think, the Clippers are going to be able to switch more than any other team. And while that's true, that's also dependent on PG. Like PG gives you the switch option. If he's not there, you're going to have to throw out some junk defenses. You're going to have to get a little funky with how you defend those actions at the top of the arc. So if Zoo's on the floor, man, like I don't trust the Clippers backside defenders. And partly like Russell Westbrook has been pretty good, solid to good in terms of low man help and rotating since getting to the Clippers. I think his off-ball defense has been good in the last month or so, but I don't trust it against the Suns decision makers. I don't trust against the Suns cutters. I think whether it's, spotting up on the weak side after the double drag, CP is just a master manipulator. He's going to hit that corner shooter or that cutter every time on target precisely. So I don't trust the Clippers are going to be able to stay home on everyone. And I think they're just going to have to give up too many options, whether it's the rolling big, if Zoo kind of lunges out and maybe traps or is just playing too far in the perimeter in those double drags. I just think Ayton is either going to have a field day rolling to the bucket, or they're going to hit those corner shooters, whether it's Durant or if Durant is dictating the action. You're just going to get a lot of Torrey Craig and Josh Okogie 3-pointers off of it. So it just comes down to whether or not they're efficient with those. But I think the looks are going to be there without Paul George on the floor because you can't switch everything without PG.
So we have a question from our chat. Charles in the chat wants to know, what's the prediction on who has the edge on rebounding and second chance points?
Oh, I think I tweeted about this earlier or yesterday as well. Like the fact that Josh Okogie, when he's on the floor, the offensive rebounding percentage is bonkers.
Yeah.
It's like one of the highest offensive rebounding rates for a guard in history when you consider his minutes. And think about this, like, I know you remember that 2021 Clippers series, like Patrick Beverley created a lot of extra opportunities for the Clippers with the second chance, with his offensive rebounding second chance points. Like Okogie's even more than that. It's even higher than that for the Suns. So I think the Suns have the advantage for sure. Where the Clippers do well is when Zubac's on the floor, they tend to not give up a lot of second chance opportunities on some possessions. I mean, their defensive rebound rate's pretty high in the league. So I think when you can consider the Suns creating extra opportunities for themselves, I don't think the Clippers can do that on the other end. So I'm going to give the advantage there to Phoenix by a pretty good margin.
Yeah, this is something I wrote about on Go PHNX. If you haven't checked out the 5 keys of the series, the Suns, and these are the numbers. The Suns are 5th in offensive rebounds, 5th in offensive rebounding percentage, and 8th in second chance points. The Clippers are 7th in defensive rebounding percentage and 11th in opponent second chance points. So pretty good offensive rebounding team versus a pretty good defensive rebounding team. But like Shane was saying, I think when Zubats is not on the floor, that could become an issue with guys like Okogie or Torrey Craig, depending on how they stagger things.
Yeah, Shane, you mentioned Ayton, and I'm always fascinated to get the outsider from outside Phoenix perspective on Ayton, because it can be pretty harsh here in the Valley. But what's your impression on him, and what kind of role do you think he's going to play in this series as a whole?
I haven't quite gotten the national outrage over DA. Like, of course, has he had moments where you're just like, dude, can you care a little bit more? Can you actually use your physical body to mow down these defenders that cannot stop you? And can you draw fouls? I mean, you should not be averaging whatever he averages at the foul. I think his foul rate is just like it's criminally low. Like he should be at 8, 8 or 9. That should be where it should be Anthony Davis level for sure. But the fact that it's not is crazy. But I think defensively, I think he does his job. I think he's underrated on that end of the floor because to me, he's routinely in the right spots. To me, he limits his mistakes. So I haven't quite gotten to like national thing where it's like, oh man, he's so underwhelming this year, or he's underachieved. So I don't get that. I think he's going to be pivotal in this series, particularly because we have no idea, guys, like if the Clippers are going to go small or if they're just going to go to Mason Plumlee in the second unit. Like they could stay big for all 48 minutes. I don't think Ty Lue will do that. I think they will go small. I think DA will have his opportunities against those small ball lineups. And I can't quite remember the 2021 series, how he fared against those lineups, but there was a couple games, game 1 and game 2, he was dominant, but that was mostly against bigs. It felt like. I feel like when Zoo was off the floor, he didn't really punish them enough. And I think that that's going to be the big swing of this series is if they go with Batum at the 5, or God forbid Robert Covington gets minutes, because that's been a big point of contention with Clippers media is that everyone wants Robert Covington to play. The fan base is basically, but for some context, the fan base has said, why don't you as reporters demand in post game that Robert Covington plays? It's getting pretty ridiculous out here, guys, or out there, I should say. But I think I think they're going to go small for certain stretches, and that's where Aiden's going to have to feast. And I'm trusting you well, Gerald. You know this. Like Durant, when he got there, I feel like he adds another layer of accountability. Like he's not. I don't feel like he barks at guys to the degree CP does, but if DA is not doing something like he should be doing, like KD's going to let him know because KD wants to win. He came there to win. So if Ayton's not doing his job against those smaller groups, like Durant's going to find him the ball and make him do it.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre even said, I think that first week, like when KD was practicing a little bit with the team, he was saying there's a lot less smiles around here, but we're all focused on the task at hand because everybody's just like locked in and ready to elevate their games to match this dude's work ethic.
I feel like KD has the kind of temperament too that reaches DA, where it's, hey, come along with me. Let's do this together. You messed up there, but it's all right, kind of thing that seems to really speak to DA rather than yelling at him. So
right, that's for sure. Shane, I am curious because you mentioned like obviously Ty Lue, he's great at adjustments. He's going to throw a lot of stuff at the wall because just from a talent perspective, they're a little outmatched in this series. So he's going to try different stuff. My question is, who is actually going to be playing for this Clippers team? Because everybody's talking about the chemistry for the Suns, but like the Clippers have had guys in and out. They had Marcus Morris miss some time with the low back, but before that, like Batum was in the lineup over him. Like Powell's been out. I'm just curious, who is going to be coming off the bench for this Clippers team?
You three right now could take a guess and be better than mine. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, so Marcus Morris, we still don't know. Like, we have, because he's been out for so long, like, we have no idea. Is he going to be in the rotation? Is he healthy? There's no answers to it. I would just bank on their top, whatever, 6 or 7 Terrence Mann, Bones Highland's the biggest one for me in terms of the guards, because in theory he could win them a game. He could do the campaign game. Was it game 2, Gerald?
Yeah.
And he had 29 points. He could have that type of performance, and I wouldn't be shocked. But he's going to be feasted on the other end.
Mhm.
So I don't think they're going to start out playing Bones and going that deep. I'd be surprised. But I think your starting group, then obviously Terrence Mann, Norm Powell. There's your 7, and then after that, I personally would play Covington. I don't know. I don't think Ty is going to right away. So we'll see. But that leaves, as you said, question marks for Marcus Morris, who we have to wait till the first game just to see what the rotation pattern is going to look like, because he started for 50 something games this year, and now he's just gone. Just
Right.
DMP, not playing. He's hurt, but I don't know when he's cleared. I don't know if he's going to be in the rotation. So, and obviously, if PG did come back later on, the later rounds of the series or later parts of the series, that's going to knock some minutes down from take your wing or take your guard, since PG kind of plays guard most of the time. So I think the Clippers are deep, but you cannot play 9 or 10 guys, and that's what they have. Like, they've been playing 9 or 10 guys, and you can't do that.
I can guarantee Marcus Morris will have a moment in this series because the Morai have always found a way to stick it to the Suns since they left town. So he'll have one moment, whether it's starting a fight or hitting a 3. He'll be there. I promise you that. So.
Yeah, I mean, he has played well against the Suns.
It might be on the bench. It
Yeah.
might be like yelling from the bench. So.
Some of his best moments in Phoenix were from the bench.
No.
And he started fights there.
Yeah,
See,
he did.
exactly. So.
Shane, this was also something that you had tweeted about, and this has been the big question for the Suns, the chemistry side of things. Like, have they had enough time to gel? Has Kevin Durant had enough reps with the guys to be ready for a playoff series? We've been asking the guys about it, and they've been saying, yeah, chemistry is definitely important. It would have been better if we had more time together. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about a guy like Kevin Durant, who's one of the most plug-and-play players in NBA history, it's a little bit easier to get over that type of thing. How do you view the Suns' chemistry and whether that will be a problem for them?
I think I view that's a good point. I think I view that the same way I view playoff experience. So, like, take Sacramento, Golden State. Like, I value playoff experience, but I think you and I talked about this one time, especially when the Suns made their first playoff appearance. I think we did a pod on it. And I don't really believe that it's like the end all be all. And I view that like chemistry. Like, could a team that hasn't had enough time to gel together eventually gel together during a series once things are going their way and shots are going down and everyone's happy, and I feel like teams bond more in those moments. So I could see, like, as long as the Suns' offense is clicking, they're making shots. Like, I don't really worry about their chemistry on that end, because just based off like points per possession, like, they're going to outscore the Clippers for a good stretch of the games. It comes down to their defense to me, and whether or not they can stifle the Kawhi lineup. So chemistry doesn't really. I mean, chemistry plays a big factor in defense. And from what I've seen, from what you've seen so far, like, I have a feeling like their defense looks fine. I think it looks fine. It looks good to fine when it comes to being tied together, not making too many mistakes. Like, you don't really see guys getting onto one another. You don't really see, like, the same mistake happen twice or 3 times, whether it's missing a rotation or something like that in pick and roll coverages. So I'm not too concerned about the chemistry. Like, once you get later on in the playoff rounds, and if you play like Denver or Golden State, something like that, yeah, those teams have obviously been together longer. They have more continuity. Then obviously the discrepancy in chemistry versus a Golden State to a Suns team now with KD, yeah, that might make a difference. But in terms of the Clippers, as you said, like, their most used lineup is about the same as the KD used lineup since the trade. I'm not worried about it.
All right, so I want to talk about the playoff bracket that you posted on Twitter today.
Oh,
Listen, I like most of it.
Man.
I'm not going to lie. I like most of it. You got the Suns going all the way to the finals, but then losing to the Celtics in the finals. Before we jump into the finals matchup, I just kind of want to peek at the first few rounds before that. You've got the Suns beating the Nuggets and then the Golden State Warriors before reaching the finals. How do you think the Suns, just kind of on a surface level, match up against those two teams? Why'd you pick them to win it?
Man, we might be clowned if they lose the first 2 games of the Clippers here. We might be clowned
Well,
early
listen,
on.
we'll be right there with you. Okay, so you won't be alone.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well documented how I feel about Denver's drop coverage defense. I don't think they hold a candle to the pull-up shooting. Like that's what that series hinges on. Like you can throw depth out the window. Neither team is really deep. I think Denver's not really deep at all. Deep as much as it's touted as they are. So I would just trust the decision making and shot making from Book and Katie there against Golden State. That's a matchup I've really been thinking about a lot, and it's something I didn't want to happen in the first round. Like I'm still thankful. Like I was saying, Monty should put 5 fans out there. Like he should put Gerald out. He should put somebody out there to play ball in that last game to avoid playing Golden State in the first round. So that's something that I think Phoenix. I think Phoenix is physical enough to combat the Draymond lineups, and I think they're smart enough to kind of defend those groups. But it comes down, do they have a point of attack defender that can stay with Steph and that's not going to get just roasted, whether it's a Kogi or Craig. They're going to really have to fill in the Mikal Bridges role there. So Mikal done a great job on Steph. So I'm kind of just leaning on Phoenix's offense to start clicking at a pretty unguardable degree. It's already like insanely good when it comes to their best lineups, but I'm kind of thinking it's going to get even better as the rounds go on.
Okay, so you get every game except one right. You have them losing 7 in the finals to the Celtics. What makes you give the Celtics the edge there in winning 4 before the Suns did?
For one, I think it's meaningful. Boston has home court in every series except the East Finals.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Boston last year. My ears are still ringing from the finals and all the whatever Draymond chants they were yelling. They can be vicious. So can you imagine what they're going to do to KD? Like, that's going to be nasty. So I don't know, man. Like I think Boston's the most complete team from top to bottom. And yeah, as much as I've gone here and said, and we've all said, like depth might be a little bit overrated in the playoffs. When you have the type of depth that Boston does, where they have so many defenders, they could probably throw 5 different guys at Kevin Durant, 5 different guys at Devin Booker, whether it's their guards, Derek White, Marcus Smart, the 2 wings, Jalen and Jason. Horford's not so good on switches anymore, but he's physical. And then Rob Williams. Like I just think Boston, top to bottom, is a better team, the best team. And I'm a firm believer, and kind of like I was a firm believer last year, that Phoenix, once you taste the finals, you're going to get back and be even better. I still cannot believe that Maverick series. I can't believe it. Like I'm a firm believer that Boston is going to complete that and get back and finally taste defeat or finally taste victory there. So
yeah, you think you can't believe that? Imagine. So I want your perspective here on, is this a must-win season for the Suns? Because the fan base here seems very torn on it. If it's a must-win, I feel like next year is the must-win, but where do you sit on it?
I actually agree. As much as the ridicule and all the social media hate that's going to come from this team losing, especially like if they lose in the conference finals, I think it's fine. Social media won't view it that way. Fans of other fan bases will laugh at them because you added Kevin Durant and you lost prematurely. But I think if you lose before the conference finals, it's a big letdown. Like if you lose before the conference finals against like a Golden State team, like it's a big letdown. But it's not do or die. Next year is. And what makes me kind of like feel like there is a lot of pressure on this year is that, look, I love Chris Paul, but he's gotten worse, and I don't know what to do about that next year. Like that's like a huge question mark. Is if he's there, because obviously that's non-guaranteed, but part of his contract. But if he's there, like, is he even worse than this year? Is he 20% worse than this year? If so, you got to do something about that, or you're not going to be able to contend against the highest level competition, in my view. So there's a lot of pressure this year, but I'm kind of with USFO. Like next year, that's the one that's like win or bust.
Yeah, I would agree. And the Chris Paul thing is definitely an issue that, the questions are going to come up, especially if they fall short in the playoffs this year, depending on how they fall short, of course. But what if they get? What if they get Kyrie? Or stop it, Shane.
He's in on the joke. I love it.
Shane, you're welcome back anytime.
Shane, before we let you go, we wanted to get your series prediction. I think we were all on the same page about Suns in 6, I think.
No, I said 5.
You said 5?
I'm highly optimistic.
I've been teetering between. No, we those words have been banned.
We have a hard rule. There's no Suns in 4 allowed.
Shane, who are you picking in this series, and in how many games?
I'm gonna go Suns in 6, closing out reminiscent of 2021, closing out in crypto staples, whatever you want to call it. I think Kawhi wins them a game, a big 40-point performance. I think Norm Powell just goes bonkers and hits 7 threes and wins them another game at home. So Suns have the better talent. I think obviously that's not deniable. I'm kind of expecting, the way things are going, I'm expecting PG to try to push for a comeback, but I would expect it to be game 5. That's just my opinion. That's just how I kind of see it in terms of the days of the series with them not having a break, which I don't think the Clippers are very happy about the way the schedule will come out with that series. But I think just the talent overload, Suns in 6.
Awesome. Shane, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and your insight. Hopefully we will see you out here in Phoenix here soon. Everybody, if you don't already, make sure you follow Shane on Twitter at YoungNBA. We'll see you next time, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, guys, that was a great conversation with Shane. Appreciate him for coming on. Hopefully we'll be able to have him join us again later on in the playoffs. Before we bring in our next guest, though, I do want to remind you the playoffs are around the corner, and that means our watch parties are also around the corner. They will be happening at the BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium. They're presented by Neutral, so that means we're going to have lots of great drinks. They're also going to have amazing food and drink specials out there. We're going to have giveaways. And of course, BetMGM will be doing special promos like deposit matches and things of that nature. So join us by grabbing your free tickets in the show notes. And if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for BetMGM as well and use that bonus code PHNX, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. So here's how it all kind of works. You just download the BetMGM app and you sign up again using that bonus code PHNX. You place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard odds price, and you're going to receive $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure, again, you are using that bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Okay, now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Oh, hey. Also, Shane mentioned it when he was on the show. The weather is warming up here in Phoenix. We all know that. Make sure you get some Shady Rays to keep your eyes protected all summer long. They have some of the best sunglasses that are backed by lost and broken replacements. So if you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. They have your back long after you purchase. We love Shady Rays around here. We got some really cool sunglasses. I wish I would have brought them in today, but I left them in my car because obviously that's where you keep your sunglasses, right?
Sure.
Also, if you don't love your glasses from Shady Rays, you can exchange it for a new pair, or you can return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always, again, has your back. Exclusively for our listeners as well, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
I think my wife's going to bankrupt them because I'm buying her a pair, but she loses her sunglasses like every 5 days. So it's going to be, we're going to test that guarantee that they have there for us.
Well, I mean, they're also pretty affordable too.
They
so
are.
at least you know you're getting a good deal for all of the sunglasses that you're going to have to replace over the summer. All right, our next guest is Lucas Hann, a podcaster and blogger covering the LA Clippers for 213 Hoops. on the Lob the Jam, the podcast. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're anxiously awaiting Sunday.
Yes.
I'm sure you are as well. One of the biggest reasons why we wanted to have you on, Lucas, is because obviously we're homers to an extent, right? We're fans of the Suns. You are a fan of the Clippers, and I think it's really important to get a perspective from both sides to see if maybe we're overlooking something. So how do you think these two teams match up?
You know, I think it would be a much more interesting matchup if Paul George was healthy. Because at that point, the Clippers maybe can go 2-star wings for 2-star wings and definitely have the defensive options and the length to sort of, I don't know, if anyone can go up against Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, you would think it would be Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Without Paul George, I think that the Clippers are going to have to get really creative and really scrappy. I think it'll be definitely an uphill challenge for the Clippers.
Lucas, we were talking on your podcast actually the other day about the Clippers side of things and who might be getting minutes. We were just asking Shane about this because he was saying your guess is as good as ours as far as who will be in the bench rotation. I know you've mentioned Norman Powell as someone who's been very important. He's obviously having a great season, but aside from him, who are you kind of looking at as someone who can get minutes in this series and not be a liability on one end of the floor or the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's one thing that we learned from Ty Lue during the 2021 Clippers playoff run, it's that he's going to use different guys over the course of the series. So it really wouldn't surprise me to see like a guy like Mason Plumlee is probably going to be playing 12, 16, 18 minutes in the first couple of games. If that look isn't working, we might see Marcus Morris playing backup center. We might see Robert Covington playing backup center. So it wouldn't surprise me over the course of the series to see 12 guys play meaningful minutes for this Clippers team. Speaking a little bit to, the options and depth and versatility that Ty has at his disposal, but also to this Clippers team real inability this season to kind of nail down a top 8 and an identity and a core beyond their star players.
What do you think is the advantage for the Clippers in this series? We've heard a lot about what the Suns' advantages are, but where do you think the Clippers could make the difference and potentially surprise over these next 7 games potentially?
Yeah, a couple things that I have my eye on. The first being, it's no secret, Phoenix has 4 of the best 5 players in this series. Can Kawhi Leonard be one best player in this series, right? Can he make it so those 4 Suns guys are 2, 3, 4, and 5? That would go a long way if Kawhi can be the best player on the floor, compared to Devin and Kevin Durant, obviously 2 players in his echelon. And then I think depth, the playoffs, you're going to shorten the rotations. The main guys are going to be playing more minutes. Having a great 11th man never won anyone a playoff series. But I think the Suns have some real liabilities when they go to their bench. I think they have guys that on one end of the court or the other, the Clippers can feel really comfortable against. And the Clippers are good at drawing fouls. Russell Westbrook draws a lot of fouls. Norman Powell will, infuriate you in this series because he will draw the most bogus whistles against guys. Kawhi Leonard, we know, can draw fouls with his physicality. If the Clippers can get Kevin Durant, off the court, Devin Booker off the court because of foul trouble, I think now you look at longer shifts with those Suns bench guys on the court. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Clippers win a game in this series just because 1 or 2 of those main Sun guys play lower minutes than you would expect because of foul trouble.
The foul thing is definitely something we've talked about a lot on this podcast in the past because, as I've mentioned in the past, they're 30th in opponent free throw rate and 28th in free throw rate themselves. So they have the second worst differential in free throws attempted for themselves versus their opponents this season. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on when the game gets more physical and the possessions slow down to a grind. Lucas, I am curious about this because Russell Westbrook is a guy who, even as recently as this season with the Lakers, was maligned for a lot of their troubles. He's been a scapegoat in some situations. Monty has said he's never seen a former MVP marginalized to this extent, but in LA with the Clippers, he's been pretty great so far. What is your sense on what kind of impact he can have on this series? And if we're waiting for kind of the other shoe to drop as far as his turnovers or his defense or his perimeter shooting being a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all a little bit true, right? Like the Lakers stuff was absolutely scapegoating, the vampire in the locker room stuff.
Yeah.
Teammates have loved Russ everywhere he's been. His Clipper teammates love him. He's also a flawed basketball player at this point in his career. He, especially as pressure dials up in games, something I've noticed just in his 21 games as a Clipper, when things start going poorly for him, his decision-making gets worse. After a turnover, he's more likely to take that bad jumper that he shoots at a low percentage. When he's being heckled, which happens a lot to Russell Westbrook, he's more likely to take threes that when he's at his best, he's being more patient and working the offense. Someone courtside starts saying something to him, he's going to put up the next shot that he gets. And so as the pressure ratchets up in a series, I think, I have a lot of concern about the other shoe dropping in some areas. At the same time, what he brings in terms of his energy and his physicality and his aggression and his ability to kind of get the offense out of a rut and get downhill and create is something that is needed, especially without Paul George out there. So I think I expect to see both sides of the Russell Westbrook coin in this series. The good stuff that probably is much needed without Paul George out there. And then, I think there are some moments where those weaknesses are going to burn the Clippers.
So you guys heard it here first. Heckle Russell Westbrook early and often.
Oh, no, don't do
at
that.
Footprint Center.
Espo, you shush. Honestly, though, I don't want the Clippers to win, obviously, and I don't want Westbrook to completely go off, but I would like to see him have a decent series just from a personal perspective, right? Like a player perspective, because I do think he's been unfairly treated this last couple of years. And I don't love seeing that because he seems like, and everything we've heard from around the league, like he's a good dude.
I'm fine with it for one more series. Next year they can praise him all they want.
But gosh, I just feel bad for the guy. I do think it was cool though, because we heard from Kevin Durant earlier in the week. We heard from Westbrook earlier in the week, and both of them were talking about how they're looking forward to playing against each other. That's something that'll be fun to watch. Just two greats in this game of basketball who haven't played against each other in the playoffs in a hot minute. So it'll be really cool to see those two go toe to toe. What are you most excited about with this series?
The Clippers weren't in the playoffs last year. Kawhi Leonard missed that year with his ACL. And going back to 2021, before he tore that ACL prior to our Western Conference Finals series against the Suns, he was so phenomenal against Dallas in the first round and against Utah in the early second round. I think getting a chance to see playoff Kawhi Leonard is going to be really exciting for Clippers fans, especially some Clippers fans who maybe have lost a little bit of faith in this core over the last couple of years. And I think it's good for the league to have, its best players playing well in the playoffs. I don't know that the Clippers get out of this series, but I think Kawhi Leonard putting on a show is something that I'm really going to enjoy, even if they end up losing it.
Is a loss in this series by the Clippers an indictment of the load management mindset?
That's a good question. I don't know that a loss in this series is. I mean, Paul George is out. Paul George, wasn't being load managed and got injured. And so maybe it wouldn't surprise me to see some people in the organization kind of turn around and say, we should have been more cautious than maybe Paul George.
Double down.
I think what I will say, though, is that the way that this season has gone overall for the Clippers probably is, because their main problem has been a lack of focus and a lack of consistency, a lack of identity. They've definitely seemed to approach the season with the mindset that they can flip the switch when they're ready. And, I think everything else could play. They could have not load managed at all. They could have done everything right. And Paul George hurts his knee with 3 weeks left in the season, can't play in the playoffs, you lose in the first round. But I think that on the whole, would the Clippers have been waiting until the last day of the season to avoid the play-in tournament if their approach from day one of training camp had been different towards how they valued the regular season and winning basketball games and getting quality reps in? I think they would have been in a better position. So I'm not sure that the outcome of this series is what that hinges on. Actually, personally, I'm already there. They could win this series, and I would still feel that way.
That's fair. My last question was, before we get to predictions, was we talked to Shane about this a little bit in terms of the Kevin Durant Kawhi matchup is the one that's being billed, and for obvious reasons, two superstars. But who do you picture guarding Devin Booker? And do you think that they should maybe put Kawhi on Book and Batum on KD, just so that they have a better option for Book? Because looking at the Clippers defenders, it's tough to see how they match up if Kawhi is taking on that primary assignment with Durant.
Yeah, I think that I'm 100% on Kawhi on Booker. I think that Booker is probably the fulcrum of the Suns offense that you need to stifle most. KD is amazing and lethally efficient, but he's not going to be the guy running so many pick and rolls, creating those advantages, finding guys. I think Booker is the one that you really need to stifle it, and KD, there's only so much you can do about him. So I'm not sure that the Clippers will start with Kawhi Leonard on Devin Booker, especially because Kawhi's going to need to score 40 points a game for them in this series. So I think they'll use some Eric Gordon. I think they may use some Russell Westbrook. Russ has been surprising as a defender, as a Clipper, in terms of his length and athleticism and activity. I think Terrence Mann is going to come off the bench and get looks in that matchup in pretty significant minutes. The Clippers use Nicholas Batum all over the court. I wouldn't be surprised to see Batum actually get a lot of minutes against Chris Paul in this series. They like to use him against slower veteran guards because his length closes off passing angles. They use him against Mike Conley in that way as well. But in the fourth quarter, I do think that I would go with Kawhi Leonard on Devin Booker.
So what's your prediction for this round? What are you going with?
So this is a chance for Gerald and I to test each other, because on my podcast, I asked him if he was giving me the diplomatic guest answer or his real opinion. My answer in all context is going to be Suns in 6. I think that the Clippers have Kawhi. They can get really hot shooting the ball. Ty Lue is going to make the Suns win 4 different games 4 different ways, which is going to create them with some challenges just in terms of how he's going to mix and match his rotations. But the top-end talent is too much. If the Clippers can steal a couple of games and Paul George comes back before we expect, maybe we can reassess. But I'm assuming that Paul George doesn't play in this series, and I think actually stretching it to 6 would be a good outcome for the Clippers.
Well, thank you so much, Lucas. We really appreciate your time. Everyone, go follow him on Twitter at Lucas J. Hann. That's Hann with 2 N's at the end of it. Especially get your follow in soon so that you can get perspective from the Clippers side of things throughout the series as well. Thanks again, Lucas. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Gerald, would you call that a Han duo, not a Han solo? Since you got 2 N's? No?
Lord,
just for you.
That's terrible.
Just for you.
Oh, man.
All right. So lots of fun stuff happening in the month of April. Obviously, the playoffs and the Suns and the Clippers matchup tips off on Sunday, but you don't have to wait until Sunday for fun to start, because Saturday, the PHNX Sun Devils crew will be out at Illegal Pete's in Tempe. That'll be happening at 10 a.m. for the pregame ahead of ASU football's spring game. They'll be doing a live show. There's going to be $3 margaritas all day, prizes, giveaways. Ooh, including a State Bicycle Company $600 bike, you guys.
Okay.
That's pretty legit. An Illegal Pete's gift card, which we all know we love Illegal Pete's, and some PHNX merch and a membership as well. So this is one you do not want to miss. Again, that's happening at Illegal Pete's this Saturday, 10 a.m. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. And then, of course, a little later in the month, we've got fun stuff happening on the Cardinals side of things. And the best place to take in the NFL draft on April 27th is, of course, at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub. Our PHNX Cardinals crew will be out there also doing a live show. And they're going to have a lot of beer specials happening as well. So if you want to take advantage of those beer specials, make sure you register for free in the link in the show notes. We're talking $3 Redbird Lager pints, $5 Redbird Lager pitchers, the usual PHNX specials, of course, and the $3 Kilt Lifter and Wow Wheat pints. So lots of fun stuff happening in the month of April, obviously. For Four Peaks beer, you do have to be 21 years or older, and we ask that you enjoy responsibly. And then the most important one, don't forget, is my birthday. Next week, April 20th. Like, that's the most important one. Like, don't you guys forget it.
I love that you were born on 420. We talked about this last year, but you even going to be here for your birthday? I can't even.
not.
No, so we're not going to celebrate it without you here.
Sorry about that. I'm going to skip town for my birthday for a little bit. But Espo and Saul and Gerald will hold it down for you guys. But just wanted to make sure you guys remembered to pencil that one in your calendars.
Sure.
Thank you for the reminder.
You're absolutely welcome. So welcome. All right.
I don't think we're too worried about it. No offense.
Well, Lindsay, wait, is it a birthday week or a birthday? What kind of girl are you? Are you a birthday or a birthday
month.
week? Oh, yeah.
Because there are those.
I know, but they're so rare.
If it was a birthday month, we would have heard about it 2 weeks ago.
That's
This
fair.
is true.
That's
I am
fair.
giving you a heads up
I
the
know.
week before, so I guess I would say I'm probably more of a birthday week kind of person.
Okay.
Okay.
Darn, you're gone that whole
I
week.
know.
So
What a bummer. Oh, my
Shoot.
goodness. So a lot of great stuff from Shane and Lucas.
Yes.
What kind of standing out to you guys from those conversations?
A lot more perspective on what the potential matchups are going to be, and also confirming something that I was wondering about. I thought might be the case, but like, are we going to see different guys in the game from the Clippers on a game-to-game basis? I think the answer is probably going to be yes, because I think they probably will try to go big at first with Plumlee, and maybe that doesn't work, so they go small. I think we will probably see Covington come in at like game 2 or 3 and be a small ball 5. I think we'll see Bones Highland get thrown out there until he gets wrecked defensively, and then they might switch it up that way. So one of my biggest question marks and also maybe concerns about this series was Lou has an abundance of options to choose from, kind of like the Suns do. Will he be able to pull the strings correctly and make life difficult with those adjustments? And will Monty be able to respond to those things? So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, sometimes in this current climate in this world, you can kind of live in an echo chamber. You hear a lot of the same things from a lot of the same people. So I was wondering, are we being overconfident in the way we're approaching this series and what we think? But hearing not only a national perspective, but a Clippers perspective, and everybody seemingly saying Suns in 6 seems to be what makes sense here, that made me feel a lot better. And then there's that little voice in my head that goes, yeah, but could everybody be wrong? Which I don't think so, but at least it feels better that they're agreeing with us.
We learned last year that nothing is guaranteed. I thought the Suns were going to breeze their way to a championship because they were just so much better than everybody. And second round, we got hit with a painful dose of reality. So can't take anything for granted. I still think it'll be Suns in 5 or 6, depending on how quickly they coalesce. But, we'll see.
There's one other thing I learned too. And it's a simple thing here, but Kendrick Perkins doesn't know shit is what I learned. Sorry, Lindsay.
Oh, no. I can't remember what I was going to say.
I'm a jackass. I'm sorry.
Doggone it, Espo. Look at what you did. Yep, no, I can't remember. It'll come to me in a minute. It literally just went away. It just disappeared, evaporated entirely. I'll come back to that one. But the chemistry thing, obviously we asked Shane about that, and he kind of shared here and then also on Twitter that he thinks it's maybe a little bit overblown. Gerald, I know at practice today, the guys talked a lot about that because it is a topic of conversation and questions are going to be asked about it. What kind of things really stood out to you from them?
Yeah, I think they are all acknowledging that like chemistry is important, but it's not the end all be all, and it's not something that they're deterred or they're worried about just because Kevin Durant is so easy to incorporate into this system. And they seem like they're pretty confident in that. Here's what Landry Shamet had to say when we asked him about that.
Chemistry is important, but honestly, with a guy like him, it's really not super difficult. He plays the right way. You're plugging him into a system with Chris and Book, who have been here. Chris is going to drive the car and make sure we're going in the right direction. Kevin's going to make plays. We have the right pieces around him where he's just a guy you can insert into our offense. And, we'll figure each other out on the go. So it's a real element, but he's easy to play with. He plays the right way. Willing passer, and obviously we don't got to talk about the offense he produces. So.
I think chemistry can be overblown and is in this case. It's bad chemistry that is a problem. I don't think there's any chance that you have bad chemistry with this group. There'll be some learning lessons along the way, but it's when what we saw in Dallas.
Yeah.
Bad chemistry is a problem. This kind of chemistry is just, little things will be tinkered.
And that's the thing is, like, last year you look at the Dallas series, and that was a very different team than what we saw all regular season, that Suns team. It didn't look like them at all. And it was strange because they had been in positions of adversity the year before, all throughout the regular season, back-to-backs, guys being in and out, and they had rose to meet the occasion. In this playoff series, they had all the pressure in the world on them as the 64-win team. And I think it was something Mikal even admitted to in that Game 7 when Dallas got off to a good start and hit their first 2 or 3 shots. The vibe in the building, the energy in the building was like, whoa, we can't lose this game. Like, there's no way we can lose this game. And I think it got to them this time around. They're a 45-win team or whatever it is, or the 4 seed. Everyone's looking at them like, okay, did they have enough time together though? So I think that could be an advantage. And to their credit, they haven't had a hard time incorporating Durant when he's been out there.
Right.
Which
they've been all right.
They've been okay. They've been good.
Not
they haven't
too bad.
they haven't played anybody great, but they've been very good, and it looks like something that can carry over. And this is what Monty had to say about the way that KD has been just such a seamless fit.
I think the willingness to understand what we do and implement it without losing who he is as a player, I think it helps him. And I think those guys understand that when they don't have to bring the ball up and dribble the whole game, they're fresher. And so Chris and Book have had the ball a lot more, and Kevin's been in spot-up mode. And I think that's helped him. The easy answer is he's just a really good basketball player. He's one of the best ones I've ever been around. So those guys, and he's smart, and so they figure out ways to fit in on both ends of the floor. But I think for the most part, they probably talk a lot. All of them do in their group chats and all the other things that they do. But if you look at Kevin's history, like everywhere he goes, he does that. So it's nothing new for him.
So the group chats, like obviously having that communication off the court, even when Kevin Durant wasn't playing, I think that's helpful. I think the fact that KD has played with Campaign, with Landry Shamet, with Book on the Team USA, like all of these different connections he's had throughout his career helps. And then as Monty joked, like he's just a really damn good player. So that helps things as well. But it does take something for a superstar to be willing to adapt to a new system and to just do what he does, but also do what the team needs him to do. That's been a huge part of it, and that's why I'm not concerned. I think the defensive side of the ball, maybe there'll be some learning curves there as you learn on the fly, but that's kind of why I look at this series like if it does go to 6 games instead of 5, I think that extra game could be beneficial just so you get some extra reps in against an opponent that you will probably beat before you see teams, like the Nuggets or the Warriors or whoever you're going to see the rest of the way.
Yeah, we have a group chat.
We do.
I do not believe that in any way helps chemistry or helps anything other than to give you massive amounts of notifications.
Well, he said they also talk, not
But
just
I want to
group
know
chat.
what the group chat is. Is it basketball group chat? Like, is it a work group chat, or is it like memes? Because if it's memes and videos and things of that nature, then yeah, like you're getting to know each other's like humor and.
Hold on, so ours would be
that.
better if we just put memes and Gerald's head
It
would
would not.
explode if
It
we
would
just
not
put
be
memes.
better for me.
I'm just saying, my favorite group chats are the ones that have no
work.
no relevance to anything in life. It's just all funny things.
Yeah.
Like those are the best group chats. No,
It's Gerald's nightmare.
It is Gerald's
I
nightmare.
enjoy those group chats, but the work group chat, maybe not so much with
That's
the
what
memes.
I'm saying though. Like the notifications
Yeah.
for a funny video are way better than the notifications for a job thing.
No, that's fair. That's
So
fair.
I'm just curious what their group chat's like. Maybe you should follow up on that tomorrow.
I'll go
What do you
ahead and
think
get the details.
What do you think the group chat is called?
Ooh, their group chat name.
I
What do
think
you think it's called?
I think it's called like ours, the Dickheads, in honor of Jock. I can
Oh
see
my
Jock
goodness.
starting the group chat and naming it that.
I don't know. Do you think Jock starts the group chat? Or
No,
does Jock
not
get
at all.
invited to the group
He
chat?
gets
He doesn't
invited.
seem like the kind of guy who would start the group
No.
chat.
If Book starts it, it's titled PHNX Suns.
I mean, maybe.
No, not even that. I feel like Book would just put Suns.
Suns.
Yeah,
Or
just
just
Suns.
Phoenix. Or just like
Suns
the
or just
abbreviation for
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
No, just teammates.
teammates.
Or like the squad or something like that.
Fellas.
Yeah, the
it just
fellas.
says
That's
fellas.
what it is.
That's
There you
all
go.
it says.
It's the
God,
fellas.
why did it take
It's
us so long to
It's
come
the
up
fellas.
with that?
It's got to be the
Goodness
fellas.
gracious. Speaking of Book, you know he's a huge fan favorite here in the Valley. And of course, him teaming up with Kevin Durant was probably a really exciting time for him. Whether or not he'll admit it in so many words remains to be seen. But I do know, and you talked with Book today at practice as well, that he is not taking this for granted. And he is still continuing to learn from everyone around him. And now that includes Kevin Durant as well.
For me, it's just learning. Still a student of the game, and understand that's one of, if not the best scorer to ever play this game. So watching every step that he takes very closely, and I've always watched this game that way, but from a distance. And now the chance to get it live and right in front of you is even better.
Yeah, he was saying because Kellen asked him, like, is it kind of weird having this guy on your side? And he was saying, like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think he's got a lot of respect for Kevin Durant, and he was asked about his favorite playoff moments, and he named like 3 different ones. It's like the Finals MVP, or like this, or this. So it's one of those situations where he's trying to absorb as much as he can, and we've seen Book do that throughout his career, from when he was a rookie and when they brought in Tyson Chandler and all these vets for him to learn from. And now he's getting to do it with one of the greatest, if not the greatest scorer of all time. So I think he's very excited about what's coming. He was admitting that what happened last year has been a motivator, but also the year before. Like, anytime the season ends in failure, you're already moving on to the next one. And now he gets to do it with Kevin freaking Durant. So that's going to be really cool for him. And it's cool to see him taking in these learning experiences for himself.
We talked about this a little bit jokingly yesterday on the Valley Voices episode, but the fact that Book gets to be the second guy now, like what that's going to do for him this playoffs, I think is going to be unbelievable, because as John in the chat says, KD takes the pressure off Book. And I think you can almost feel that in listening to him talk. It's like there's almost as much as Book can get, an excitement about this, and I think he's as much interested and intrigued by what this could be as the rest of us are.
I think this just speaks to who Book is as a person and as a basketball player, because Gerald, you had mentioned like the vets that the Suns brought in to help like guide him along and teach him some things, like Tyson Chandler, or PJ Tucker was one of those guys early on in Book's career as well. And Book never looked at them like, well, you're not a superstar, so I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. He took everything and absorbed everything he could from those guys and continued to get better throughout his career, which we've been lucky enough to watch firsthand. But then you put a superstar in front of him like Kevin Durant, like you can only imagine what knowledge and information Book's going to take from him.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to see that just the development of Devin throughout the years and how much he really puts into getting better at this game.
Yeah, he's always been a sponge, and that's something that kind of, I think, attracts other guys to Phoenix. The fact that he's such an established talent and really good and puts in the work, and as Book says, is just a hooper. That was one of the biggest reasons he gave for why he's not worried about the chemistry thing. We're all just hoopers here. But you look at the way that Chris Paul has come here, and he's learned so much from him. Kevin Durant, and like you were saying, Lindsay, everyone that's come before, even if they're not, all-time great Hall of Fame players, he's learned a lot from them, picked up things from them that he's added to his arsenal. And that's something that even Kevin Durant was saying yesterday that he has done, because he was asked about the whole Charles Barkley beef, and he was saying, I would never take away from anything he brought to the game, because I think we are on the same page as people who have walked this journey in the NBA as hoopers. And he did the fake superstar quote to kind of diss Charles a little bit, but Kevin Durant has always looked to the greats to emulate his game after, and that's something Booker does as well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. All right. Well, one last time, we want to say thank you to Shane and Lucas for joining us on today's show. If you guys, Espo mentioned the Valley Voices episode yesterday, where we also had in some really great guests. If you guys missed that one, definitely recommend you go back and check that one out as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Also, just one last thing. if you're preparing for playoffs, the best thing that you need is a comfortable seat, couch, or recliner, whatever it is, to sit on to watch all of these games. And one that maybe is like easy to get up and out of, you know what I'm saying? Because there's probably a lot of points in time and throughout the game and the
viewers are?
Listen, Espo, we all have trouble getting up out of chairs sometimes if you've been sitting for a while and your foot goes. For me, I sit on my feet, so my foot goes numb.
I couldn't sit on my feet if I wanted to.
It just happens. I don't know. But anyway, you know where I'm going with this. More furniture. They hooked us up here at PHNX. We love the furniture that we got from them. And if you guys are looking for new furniture for your home or your office or any room, really, you can save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Also, we did get a super chat from Devin. Said their group chat is 100% called mid-range memes.
Yeah.
Mid-range memes. I think it'd be funnier if they pronounced it mid-range memes. Like that would be funny. Mid-range memes if they pronounced it like that.
Again, how
Just
old do you
before
think
bedtime.
the Phoenix Suns are?
Just before bedtime, get your mid-range memes in.
I think it would just be really funny. It would make me laugh. That's all. Okay, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have another show for you at 3 p.m. Until then, you can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Gerald. I'm going to skip you, Espo, at Gerald Bourget. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Mark it down. Devin Booker, 40 points a game this series he's going to average. Let's get ready. Ahoy, hoy.
Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past